Alright guys, so we're going to talk about types of clouds today. As always, you have your 3-part cards there. So clouds are water droplets or ice crystals that we can see. There are 3 different kind of families of clouds. So there's stratus, cirrus, and cumulus. And from space, clouds actually kind of just look like a big swirling blanket that just covers the earth in different parts. 4 different families. So we have our stratus family. Stratus family has stratus, altostratus, and nimbostratus. The word stratus is from Latin and it means to spread out. So stratus clouds cover the sky kind of like that blanket. It's just all over. We have our cirrus family. Cirrus comes from the word in Latin that means curl of hair or curly hair. So these clouds are really kind of wispy and curly, and they include our cirrus, cirrocumulus, and Stratus Clouds. And then we have our cumulus family. So the word cumulus comes from Latin again, and it means heap or pile. Cumulus clouds are always billowy and puffy, and there are cumulonimbus clouds, cumulus, and clouds. We also have some other types of clouds that don't really fit into those families that we have in our cards. So we have contrails, cumulus, and fog that we will talk about. So, as always, you guys, and depending on where they are in the atmosphere, they have specific locations that we will talk about at the end for where they go. For now, though, we are just going to go through. So, as always, I'm going to take my definitions. I'm going to flip my controls over because I'll check them at the end. Well, you guys will check them at the end if you go back through and put them out. So, just like I've done in the past, I'm going to lay out each of my types of clouds. I have quite a few here, so I'm going to actually move my controls off to the side here. My paper clip. And then do... and then I'm going to lay out my different words so I can see them. If you're going through one at a time, you can just pick whatever's on top of the pile and try and figure out which one it is. And just like with our phases of the moon, you'll notice some words repeat through here, like stratus and cumulus and cirrus or cirro. And that all relates back to how our clouds get their names. So, like I said, lots of different types of clouds. The first thing we're going to start with is our stratus clouds. So we have cirrostratus. Cirrostratus clouds cover the sky in one thick sheet, but they're thin, and so you can usually see the sun or the moon through them depending on if it's day or night. They really oftentimes signify changing weather, so like rain or some form of precipitation is on the way. So cirrostratus cards are going to be, just kidding, cirrostratus. Cirrostratus, and I'm going to find my word over here for cirrostratus. So changing weather, they're thin, you can usually see the light through them, but they cover like a thick sheet of the sky. And then we have Nimbostratus. Nimbostratus clouds are dark, low-level clouds that are usually accompanied by rain. They are composed of water droplets that are thick enough that the sun cannot be seen through them. So Nimbostratus clouds, you guys, are these guys. You can see, if you saw those type of clouds outside, you would probably be thinking rain because they are pretty dark and pretty close to the earth because they are heavy with all of that precipitation. So Nimbostratus. And then we have Altostratus. Altostratus are middle clouds. They're higher in the sky than stratus clouds. And we'll talk about our order that they go into the sky in a minute. They are gray or blue-gray and are actually made of ice or ice crystals rather than water or water droplets for our Altostratus. So Altostratus, you guys, are these guys. Altostratus. Stratus clouds is what we're going to go to next. Or I guess we've already kind of worked through some of them. So, yeah, we worked through Stratus Clouds. Sorry, Stratus Clouds are solid uniform clouds that seem to cover the whole sky, which is what we know works for stratus because it means to spread out, kind of like that blanket. They are often gray. Usually they don't have any precipitation, like rain or snow that falls from them, but they can sometimes cause a little bit of drizzle. So again, we can see that these cover the whole sky in our picture. And each of our stratus clouds has, our cirrus stratus did, that means rain was on the way. Our Nimbus stratus did, that were so dark that we couldn't see through them, and those did have rain that came with them. And our Altostratus, even though they're kind of splotching across, are over a wide expanse of the sky. So stratus clouds. These guys. Stratus. And then you guys, we're going to talk about some of our cirrus clouds and then cumulonimbus a little bit. So, cirrus clouds are high, thin, and wispy. They usually point in the same direction that the wind is going, kind of like an arrow. And they're composed of ice crystals formed when those water droplets they were made of cooled super fast. So cirrus clouds, you guys, where's my picture, are these super high and wispy ones. And you can see that they kind of are pointing in a certain direction, like if the wind was blowing for our cirrus clouds. We'll have to go off my mat here for a bit for that one. Sorry, cirrus cloud. Definitely not what I'm seeing outside today, that's for sure. I am seeing some stratus clouds. Kind of thinking a little bit of Nimbus stratus based on the fact that it's raining. So, associated with storms of lightning and thunder, though, we have cumulonimbus clouds that are usually darker and tower across the sky, and they can even bring tornadoes. So Nimbus stratus was kind of dark and a thick sheet and brought some rain. Cumulonimbus are what we think of as like those big thunderstorm clouds that we see a lot in the summertime, where they come rolling in and they're super dark and super puffy and up in the sky and are just mean a lot of trouble for cumulonimbus. Then we just have cumulus clouds that are actually just light and fluffy. They kind of look like cotton balls, and they are also like our cumulonimbus, like towers, because they are taller than they are wide. So our stratus clouds were a wide, thick blanket. Our cumulus clouds are big and puffy like towers. So that means that cumulus clouds are light and fluffy. They're the happy cousin of our cumulonimbus. And they have really flat bases for cumulus. Kind of like a little bunny tail. Altocumulus clouds, you guys, are middle clouds, which look like a sheet of clouds that has been divided into bands or waves. And they can sometimes mean rain or snow. So they cover a large area, kind of like our stratus clouds do. But they are not, in fact, stratus clouds. They are altocumulus, and they kind of look like, you can see, like they have some waves going through them. They've been cut up, and they can sometimes, like I said, mean rain or snow. And then we have cirrocumulus. So when you see like a patch or like layer of little cloudlets, those are your cirrocumulus. They are high-level clouds, so they're really high up in the atmosphere, so they're made of ice crystals. And sometimes they look like scales on a fish and can be called mackerel clouds, which is fun to say. But cirrocumulus. Contrails, you guys, are not clouds, but they are something we see in the sky. They're formed when jet planes leave trails of burning hot exhaust in the sky, kind of like our cars leave exhaust in the sky. You can see it and it stays a little bit. Because that surrounding air is so cold, it causes that exhaust to condense. So contrails are condensation and trails, contrails. And they are these guys. You guys have probably seen those in the sky after airplanes go by. It's all right, that's just the exhaust, like what would come out of your car, but it's so cold up there that we can see it kind of condense into a line. And then fog, you guys, we've seen some of this year. You guys saw it for those of you that were outside with us that one day where we had to come inside, because fog lays close to the Earth's surface and it can form for a lot of different reasons. including times when humid air moves over cold ground or when cool air moves over warm water, can form fogs. And that then condenses onto things around it, as we found when we were trying to work outside. And then we have Pileus clouds. Pileus clouds are big and smooth, and they're usually found over a mountain. They can also form on top of towers of cumulonimbus clouds, though, too. So you might see them with that, and they're Pileus clouds. Now, the order that we see these in is kind of important because we see them in a certain order in the sky, and they will always be in that order. You're not going to see the ones that are farther down. Not there. So I'm going to actually show you guys the order that you will find these in the sky. Because some clouds look farther away than others, and they are, for how high they are in the sky. So we're going to start at the very, very bottom. At the very, very bottom, we have our stratus and our cumulus clouds. So stratus here. I'm going to move some of these guys off to the side up here so I can get them in order. Okay, so at the bottom, we have our stratus clouds, which are like that thick sheet. And then around that same area, we also have our cumulus clouds. They're just cumulus by themselves. Nice, bright, puffy, happy clouds. Cumulus clouds. And then on top of those is where we'll have our Nimbostratus. If I can find where I put it. Nimbostratus, which are those ones that sometimes mean that rain is a little bit on the way. Actually, sorry, those are the rain. Serous Clouds, the one that means that rain's on the way, but we aren't there yet. So we have Nimbostratus. And then above Nimbostratus, we have Stratocumulus. Where did I put it? It disappeared. That's okay. Then we'll have Altostratus Clouds on top of that, which are right here. Altostratus Clouds. These guys are further up the side. You guys aren't hanging out here. So we start out stratus on the bottom and cumulus kind of close to them. Then we have Nimbostratus, Altostratus, and then we have our Altocumulus. And then we have Serostratus, which you guys can see looks like they're actually pretty high up there. And then we have Serocumulus way up here. And then way up above that we have our Serous Clouds, which you guys actually kind of can't see. So I'm going to put it off the side here a bit. And then we kind of have our Pileus contrails and stuff. They're kind of in their own category. Fog, of course. Actually, I should put it at the very bottom. It's very low to the ground for fog. And then cumulonimbus, you guys, are kind of funky. They kind of are here, but they can build all the way up because they are those huge towering clouds. So fog is along the ground. Our stratus is our next lowest, and our cumulus. Then we have our Nimbostratus, Altostratus, cumulonimbus, Altocumulus, Serostratus, Seronimbus, and Cirrus. So these clouds that are lower down, the cumulonimbus and Nimbostratus, are typically the ones that more so mean rain or precipitation of some sort. Because they are heavy with that water that is bringing them close down to the ground. These guys are flying high up in the atmosphere. They can tell us that maybe some of these are on the way, but they're not going to rain on us. So you can kind of tell the weather based on what you can see in the sky. Thanks, guys.